So how can we stay sane in an insane world? Because the world was always a bit insane, but it seems to be more insane these days. Or maybe we were just all happy in our little box or little bubble, and now we're becoming more aware of the bigger picture and the variabilities involved in it. But one thing's for sure, the days of the system looking after you, the days of the family and the country looking after you, the dream that we're all sold as young people, as kids, that you work hard, you grow up, and you do well. I mean, that's kind of out the window now for a lot of people for a variety of reasons. And there's so many challenges in the world affecting these things. So really, we've just got ourselves. And this gets back to the idea in this channel of Psychologics is that all we've got in this world is our mind. You've got your consciousness. You who are sitting here watching this now, you are consciously aware and you're consciously absorbing this. So the best thing I would say that you can do, no matter what your political affiliation or what your view of things in the world in at the moment, the best thing that you can do is become mentally strong, mentally and emotionally and spiritually strong. Okay, so how to stay sane in an insane world? Well, it's to become grounded in yourself. All right, to befriend yourself and learn yourself. I did a lot of work earlier in my life, like psychotherapy, and I've done a lot of meditation for many years. And what you'll find is if you do enough of this study, you'll come to the stage realizing that you don't have to change. And this is a myth and a fantasy that's sold a lot in this sort of self-help realm. That if only you fix this, if only you fix that, everything will be great. But the reality is you don't have to fix anything. The reality is you are just fine as you are, okay? The things you need to fix, of course, are your outer behavior. There's inefficiencies, and there's prejudices, and there's behavior where you can't control yourself. I understand you have to change these things. But the essential you, the person who you are, you do not specifically have to change. Actually, it's the opposite. You have to refine yourself. You see, every child that's born in the world is their own person. But somewhere along the way, all the impressions of the world are thrown upon that child, and that child becomes a product of the world. They develop a new mind, and the mind they develop is this kind of parrot mind, this mind with endlessly internal dialogue and negative thinking and all this sort of stuff. And so we learn how to fit in, and we learn how to become kind of dumb, and we learn how to not be ourselves. We actually look at the world around us and we try and fit in, and we try and copy the world around us. Then we aspire to be something like we see projected, like we see movie stars and heroes and sports heroes and politicians and so on are put up as the heroes, and we try and be them. But of course we can never be them, and actually they're not even themselves. They're only a projection of who they really are. I remember years ago there was a Robert Redford movie, I forget the title, it was very good. It was a movie where he was running to become a senator, I think it was. And the guy knew nothing and was a bit of an idiot. And then in the end, he becomes the senator, and he gets out of the car and says, "Now what?" Because the guy has no idea. He's no idea who he is. I thought it was very relevant because, and maybe this is also part of the dynamic that we have these days, is that we're realizing our heroes are not so much heroes. They're taking steroids, they're taking lip implants, whatever the hell it is. They're not what we thought they were. And the reality was this, paper mache world we had back in, say, 1940s, 50s, 60s of, happy families and everything's good, was really a false world. And now we're having to mature and stand up on our own 2 feet. And the basic thing is to realize that there is a true self. There is you. And all you have to do is find out who you are. Okay? You need to find yourself. And this is sadly put out the idea of somebody goes for a road trip in a movie, I'm finding myself. Well, you can drive all over the world, you're not going to find yourself. You're going to find yourself in here. Okay? You're going to find yourself by looking into your heart. Not even your mind. Your mind is full of programming. Look into your heart and find out who you are. So how can we stay sane in an insane world? Well, what you got to do is you got to start meditating, keeping a diary, reflecting, reading, watching useful videos, getting different inputs, different insights, reflecting upon your world, not just jumping to conclusions. And so learning about yourself and developing an inner strength that comes from self-knowledge, not from some programming or propaganda, or somebody said this, or I read this in a book and I just decided that my belief system is the same as the guy I read in the book. No, none of this. About finding who you are. And it's a slow process. It takes years. and many of you guys are probably already on it. But I'll reaffirm it in this video, keep doing it. Find yourself, not somebody else, not somebody marketing themselves or somebody with a cool channel on the internet or something. Trying to find who you are and what you really believe, and become strong in yourself, okay? The image comes to mind of Michelangelo was famously asked about making statues, and he said, I always believe that the figure is in the statue and I have to chip away at it to find it. So the David statue, for example, is inside the rock. I have to chip away. So that is probably the greatest truth, I would say, that's out there when it comes to self-development. You don't need to become somebody else. You need to find yourself. Yourself is perfect. But at a very early age, in the first few years of your life, you've got a kind of a mind transplant where you got this programmed mind that's full of bullshit just implanted onto your brain. But the real you is still there. The real you is always there. But the real you is being stampeded upon. And so it's now this sort of small, still voice. You might hear it sometimes when you're having a challenge in life. This sudden intuition or voice in your head. And that's the real you. The real you is always there, but it's subjugated because it was pushed to the corner early in life. And actually this real mind, this true self, is the birthright of every human being on the planet, but it's pushed to one side, okay? So we have to work at trying to find that. We don't always have it. You have it now, and 10 minutes later you don't have it, and falls from grace are always going to happen. But we have to strive towards that inner strength. We have to strive towards becoming mentally, emotionally, and spiritually strong. Mental strength comes from just knowledge of yourself. Emotional strength comes from accepting your feelings, looking at your issues, working through things, maybe doing therapy, group therapy, self-help, all of this stuff, meditation, and so on. And spiritual strength comes from reconnecting with God, reconnecting with this higher power or energy within you, and in whatever form that takes, depending upon your religious or spiritual background. I like to think that God is one, religions are many. People have different ideas about religion, and sadly they fall out, and a lot of this is being promoted by religious leaders trying to gain power over the centuries. The reality is God is God. And that higher power, if you don't believe in God, just think of a higher power. There's some transcendental higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, that's also there, and you can reconnect. So that's the other thing. So one aspect is finding out about yourself, and the other aspect is asking that higher power, please help me, because you can't fix everything with your little ego. So part of it is learning about yourself and learning about your ego, but also part of it is asking higher help to help you. And that's really it. The only way you're going to stay sane, the only way I'm going to stay sane, the only way we can stay sane and survive whatever crazy stuff's going to happen over the next 20, 30 years is by becoming strong in ourselves. And then when the shit hits the fan, if the shit does hit the fan, we don't know. Let's say the shit hits the fan. Then we will be a bastion of strength for the people around us, and we will be leaders in our community to help those people. And together we can adapt, because humans will always adapt. If we look at these World War II documentaries where they blew the shit out of a city, or they blew the shit out of an island, and yet the people just come out of bunkers, they survive. A lot of people survive. So whatever's going to happen, we should be strong, and we should help others be strong. And if nothing happens, hell, it's good to be strong anyway. It's good to be mentally, emotionally strong, because in this century, 21st century, we have to brand ourselves. We have to develop our careers. We have to do well. So we're in a funny situation that there's so much dynamic change in the world that maybe big shifts could happen and we might have to go into full survival mode. Or maybe not that big shifts will happen. But either way, we have to adapt. And the days of just coming out of school or college with a certificate or degree and getting a job are over. We got to adapt and learn new skills. We got to brand ourselves, etc., and so on. And that's why I say how we can be sane, and how it could be sane in an insane world is we have to find our own inner sanity. Okay, and that's the name of the game, is keep your shit together. And you keep the shit together not by ignoring things or repressing things, but by learning about yourself over time, by embracing your true self and your humanity, by connecting with God, and by refining who you really are and what you really think and what you really feel, and becoming strong in yourself with the real self within you and in your heart. And that is how you become sane in an insane world. Okay, please like and subscribe, and talk to you next time. Also a bit of a channel update. I'm basically uploading some of my old videos from my old YouTube channel, Psychologics, on YouTube. And I'm going to be loading them. There's a whole bunch of videos on depression, mental health, etc. Just so you know, this is not a mental health channel. It's not a depression channel. It's just I made those videos. Some of them I made years ago, some I've just made recently, because I feel it's relevant, and I feel that in this channel I want to put videos up which I feel are relevant and useful to somebody. Even though I know depression is a big no-no, it's the ultimate taboo, the one thing nobody ever wants to talk about. People want to talk about self-improvement, but nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the living room, which is depression. And I made those videos because I thought they're relevant. If you don't like those videos, skip over them. This is not the purpose of the channel to do endless mental health videos, but I thought I had something to say on the subject, and that's why I have those videos.